Hi, my name is Veda. Before this story begins, I want to ask you one simple question. Have you ever felt sad for no reason? Have you ever felt angry or insecure even when nothing bad was happening? What if I told you the real reason might be a child inside you, a child who was never healed? This is the story of a boy named Adam. When Adam was 7 years old, he loved drawing. He would sit on the floor for hours with colors and paper, creating small worlds that only he could imagine. One day, he ran to his father with excitement in his eyes. He held the drawing in his hands and said, "Dad, look what I made." His father glanced at the paper for only a second and replied, "Stop wasting time. Do something useful." For a moment, Adam stood there quietly. The smile slowly disappeared from his face. He folded the paper carefully and threw it in the trash. That moment seemed small, but for a child, it felt like the whole world had rejected him. Years passed. Adam grew older. He finished school, he got a job, he earned money. People around him thought he was successful, but deep inside, something always felt empty. Sometimes he would get angry over very small things. Sometimes he felt jealous when others succeeded. And many nights he lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering why he felt so lonely, even when people were around him. Maybe you have felt something like this too. One evening, after a long, stressful day, Adam sat alone in his apartment. The room was silent, but his mind was full of noise. He suddenly asked himself a strange question. Why do I feel broken even when my life looks fine? A few days later, he decided to go for a walk in a quiet park. There, he met an old man sitting on a bench reading a book. The old man looked at Adam and said, "You look tired. Not your body, your heart." Adam laughed awkwardly and said, "I'm just stressed from work." The old man closed his book and asked him something unexpected. "Tell me, when was the last time you listened to the child inside you?" Adam frowned. "Child? I'm not a child. I'm an adult." The old man smiled gently and said, "Yes, you are an adult outside, but inside you still carry the child who once felt ignored, rejected, and alone." That sentence stayed in Adam's mind for the rest of the day. That night, he turned off the lights and sat quietly on the floor. He closed his eyes and imagined himself as a small boy, sitting alone with a piece of paper and broken crayons. The boy looked sad. Adam slowly walked toward him in his imagination and said softly, "Hey, I see you." The boy looked up with tears in his eyes. For the first time, Adam realized something powerful. All his anger, his insecurity, and his sadness were not coming from today. They were coming from the past, from a little child who had never been heard. The next morning, Adam did something he had never done before. He opened a notebook and wrote a letter. But the letter was not for anyone else. It was for his younger self. He wrote, "Dear little Adam, I'm sorry no one listened to you. I'm sorry you felt like you weren't good enough, but you were always enough." When he finished writing, he felt something strange. Relief, like a heavy weight had been lifted from his chest. Days turned into weeks. Adam continued this practice. He talked to his inner child. He encouraged him. He told him things no one had ever said before. You are safe. You are loved. You matter. One day, he walked into a small store and bought colors and drawing paper again. At first, he felt embarrassed, a grown man sitting on the floor drawing like a child. But then, something beautiful happened. He started smiling again. Another day, a coworker criticized his work. At first, he felt the old anger rising, but then he paused. He realized something. That criticism wasn't hurting the adult Adam, it was hurting the scared child inside him. So instead of reacting with anger, he whispered to himself, "It's okay. You're safe." Slowly, the anger disappeared. Weeks later, Adam returned to the same park and saw the old man again, sitting on the same bench. The old man looked at him and asked, "So, tell me, Adam, how is the child inside you now?" Adam smiled peacefully and replied, "He's finally heard." The old man nodded and said something Adam would never forget. Most people grow older, but they never heal. They spend their entire lives running away from the child inside them. But true peace comes when you stop running and start listening. And maybe that message is for you too. Because inside every adult there is a small child who once felt scared, ignored, or unloved. And that child is still waiting. Not for the world to understand them, but for you to finally say, "I see you, I hear you, and you are safe now." Maybe healing your life doesn't start with changing the world. Maybe it simply starts with healing the child you once were.